If you write in Google Docs, you know its power lies in the simple and easy to use interface. But are you using this tool to its full potential? In this video, I'll show you how to write your next book quicker and more efficiently with a collection of keyboard shortcuts. Before we get any further in the video, why should you learn how to use shortcuts? They save time, they reduce stress on your hands with less button smashing, and most importantly, they keep you in the writing flow. When you're deep in a scene, the last thing you want to do is break your concentration by searching for formatting options or digging through menus. A quick note, I'll be using a Windows laptop for this video, but I'll put the Mac equivalent shortcuts on screen. For most of those, you just need to replace Control with Command and Alt with Option to use them on a Mac. I've also tried to break down these shortcuts into writing and the editing and revising phase, but many of these can be used throughout the entire process. Make sure you stay to the end of the video where I give you a few ideas on how to memorize and use these shortcuts. So we're first going to go over the basics. I know it's a little bit boring at first, but I've thrown a few into this section that I think will be new or expand on basic knowledge, so bear with me. Control-C to copy, Control-X to cut, Control-V to paste, and Control-Z to undo. And this is the one I actually always forget myself, Control-Y to redo. Now for a few formatting shortcuts, these are important because when you're in the thick of writing a scene, knowing how to format your text correctly can help you save time and also keep track of different characters talking or documents being referenced. So to help explain this a little bit, I'm going to bring up one of my short stories and I'm going to show you how these shortcuts work and what they look like. Control-I gives you italics. This is good for internal voices or thoughts. It also gives you a good emphasis on words if you want to stress how a character is saying, like the love or the this. It also helps you distinguish foreign words. For me, I write a lot of Japanese words, so I actually put all of my foreign words in italics to help distinguish that, which is really handy if people know that they can look it up in the glossary. Control-B gives you bold text. You can even bold and italicize if you want to be really fancy. Bold is often used for emphasizing a word again. You can also use it to distinguish a character voice. I've seen it more with if a character has someone inside of them, like an evil side, or they have a telepathic message being conveyed. You could also use it to show text messages or digital communication. You could also use it to show text in the book, like a bookshop name, letters, or messages. Basically, whatever tool you need to use to make your text read well with the reader. And then, of course, you do have underlining, which is Command-U. This is kind of the same as bold, where I've seen it mostly for titles of documents within a book. If you are referencing like a letter or a snippet from some book, ancient history, the killer's message, something like that. You can also use it for text messages, digital communications, same thing with bold text, signs, letters, anything that you want to distinguish from something else. If you're using bold for something else in your book, it's a good idea to pick underlining to use for something different. You can also use underlining to leave yourself a placeholder. Say I'm writing a scene and they walk down into town name. You can capitalize it like this. You can also bold it, but since I never use underlining in my formatting, if I underline something, that immediately stands out to me and I know that's something I need to attend to in editing. So if you hit Shift Alt 5, this is the shortcut for strike through. If you are doing soft editing, so instead of turning on editing to track changes or just to look at suggested edits, this is a really easy way to just sort of edit, but you're not fully committed to it. So if you want to take out a few paragraphs, say you don't like something, but you're not 100% sure, you can still read the strike through text, and it just kind of lets you get your thoughts down. So the next one is Control F, which of course will help you find something. So this will help you track down those pesky words you overuse, like smile. You can see I only have 4 instances of smile in this short story, which is 17 pages, so that's not too bad. I consider that a pass, but if you type in Ctrl H, it will bring up find and replace. This is especially good if you have created a placeholder like MC1 for main character 1 and you don't have a solid character name, or you want to rename town name into an actual name. This is super easy to do. Let's say that I actually added an MC1, so I'm going to replace it with Bob. We're going to have Bob in here, and Bob does this. And I'm going to go ahead and replace that. I'm going to close back out of this, and I'm going to go to Control Find again, and I'm going to look for Smile again. So you can just hit this little down arrow here to go to the next instance of Smile, or you can hit Ctrl G, and this will automatically skip to the next instance of Smile without me having to touch my mouse. To go back, all you have to do is hit Ctrl Shift G, and that will go back up. Okay, so we know the basic shortcuts now, but what about something that will help us specifically with writing? Momentum is one of the key aspects about writing, so a lot of people like to track how many words they write per day. So instead of searching for this in the menu, all you have to do is hit Ctrl Shift C, and my word count is going to pop up here on screen. You can also have Google Docs display your word count while typing. I personally find that a little bit too much pressure to constantly see my word count sometimes, so I like to keep it off. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And when you're writing, it's really good to be as distraction-free as you can. And Google Docs has a compact view mode or full screen. So to access that, you hit Ctrl Shift F, and this will get rid of the top menu for you. You can also hit Ctrl plus or Ctrl minus, and this will make your writing screen a little bit bigger or smaller just to take up extra space. And then of course you can have your outline here and you still have enough space to navigate around your text. For those of you who are writing nonfiction or like to really link to character sheets or research or other articles, you can enter in a link just by hitting Ctrl K. This will allow you to paste a link here. This doesn't look super pretty with my Night Eyes plugin to make the screen black, but you would just type in your URL, copy and paste it into here. You can search for a character sheet or an article. If you are researching like Japanese culture, you could link to a kitsune if you just want to make things a little bit tidy and organized. So you don't get distracted by the internet, you can hit Ctrl Shift Y to bring up the inline dictionary, because once you start on Google, the attention span is gone. So make sure you use the dictionary that is in Google Docs so you don't get distracted and you keep writing. To quickly add chapter titles into your document, I'm just going to make a new chapter here. We'll just call this Chapter 0. You just need to highlight this and then you hit Ctrl Alt and then whatever heading number that you're using for chapter titles. I usually just do heading 1. So Ctrl Alt 1, and this will make a chapter for you. And if you open up your outline here, you can see I have Chapter 0 that's been added in here. If you are writing nonfiction, or maybe you're using the heading 2 to make like a point of view shift, you can also add that in. I'm just going to have maybe like a subtitle here. You would just do the same thing, Control Alt, but you would press 2 since it is heading style 2. And as you can see right here, indent in here, and you can do that all the way up to heading style 6. You can jump to the next heading or chapter in your document by hitting Ctrl Alt N and then 1. And this will jump down to the next chapter heading. You need to make sure that you're not holding N, otherwise it will not work. And to go back 1, you would just hit Ctrl Alt P1, and this will jump back up to the previous heading. The numbers at the end, if you are using subtitles or headings that are not just heading 1, if you're using heading 2, instead of hitting the 1 at the end, you would hit 2. If you are writing a nonfiction book or a really dense fiction book that you need to give a little bit of context between backstories or histories, you can hit Ctrl Alt F to add a footnote. We're just going to define pain here when something hurts. We'll leave that in there. If you would like to add a page break, all you have to do is hit Ctrl Enter. This is especially nice when you are breaking up your book into chapters. If you just go to a chapter here and you hit Ctrl Enter to add a page break, this just makes sure that you don't have a bunch of extra space in between your chapters. To leave a comment quickly, you just hit Ctrl Alt M, and this will allow you to leave a comment really easily. You don't have to pick up your mouse. This is really good if you're writing and you want to leave yourself a note and you don't want to stop writing. Just make sure to tie this up, or sometimes even like to leave myself a note. Check this, which my self in the future loves. But that's just to make sure that I know what I'm thinking. I know something's not working, but I don't want to stop. Just keep writing. That's a nice way to leave a comment quickly. You can, of course, also just leave yourself a comment in brackets. This is usually what I do. Check this, make sure the horse is in the right location. This way, again, you're not breaking your flow, you're making a note, you know something's wrong. Sometimes it is just nice having this comment over here. It just pulls it out a little bit more so it's easier to reference. If you do have comments on your document and they are distracting, you can easily hide those by hitting Ctrl Alt Shift J, and those will disappear. If you do want those to come back, you just hit Ctrl Alt Shift A, and you'll get the sidebar that'll pop up with your comments. If you just hit the X, it'll remove that sidebar on the side. If your comments are distracting and you don't want to hide them because you want to make sure you remember that they exist, you can actually minimize your comments and hide what they're saying, but it'll still leave you the icon of what the actual comment is. To do this, select Ctrl, Alt, Shift, W, and then M. As you can see, this made my little comment over here super small, and if I hover over it, it will pop up and show me what the actual comment is. I almost love this even more than just leaving my comments there, because sometimes when I'm editing, I get really overwhelmed seeing all of the comments, and just seeing icons on the side looks a lot nicer to me. To expand those comments, what you need to do is hit Ctrl, Alt, Shift W E, and that'll pop your comments back out and expand them. Next, we'll explore shortcuts that will help you during the editing phase. To enter suggesting mode, where you'll be able to track the changes you make, use Ctrl Alt Shift X. As you can see up at the top, it changed editing to suggesting, and now anything that I do in this mode will be tracked for me to accept or reject. To return to editing mode, so you're not marking up your document, you just hit Ctrl Alt Shift Z, and this will take you back into editing mode so you can actually delete things and you don't need to accept or reject them. If you're marking up text with color or using the highlighter to highlight overused words or placeholders you need to fix, you can actually use a repeat action shortcut to do the same thing. So the first thing you need to do is do the action that you want to do. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to go up to the highlighter and I'm going to select blue. And then I'm just going to select this text here, hit Ctrl Y, and it's going to do the same thing. This is a really handy trick if you have a lot of words, if you want to just highlight the beginning of the sentences that are the same, if you use smile too much, if you are using words that are telling words like seeing, or if you're repeating words like standing up. This is a good way to help somebody learn how to filter out those words and help get those out in the editing phase. You can also use this for different actions. Like I said, if you want to change the colors the same way, to highlight something different that you want to work on with editing, all you need to do is hit that Ctrl Y after you make that first action. To make interacting with your comments a little easier, If you click on one of your comments and hit R, it will automatically start your reply down here. Type here, hit reply. Then to resolve a comment, all you need to do is click on it and hit E, and this will automatically resolve that comment. I'm going to go ahead and add a few more comments here just to illustrate my next point. Comment. If you select a comment and then you hit J, it will jump to the next comment that you are working on. If you hit K, it will go back one previous comment. To show all of your comments in the sidebar, hit Ctrl Alt Shift plus A. This will allow you to see all the comments that you have left, as well as the comments that you have resolved. With this sidebar, you can actually still use all of the comment shortcuts. You can hit R to reply here. You can hit E to resolve a comment and have that disappear. You can also hit J to move to the next one, or you can use K to move up to the next one. To post a comment, and this is different than what is listed in the Google Help Center, that one wasn't working for me, so I just pushed a bunch of buttons, and I figured out that Ctrl Enter will actually post the comment, and you won't need to hit the comment button to post your comment. So hopefully that'll work for you. If not, you can check the Help Center for an alternate way of posting a comment. To open spell check, all you need to do is hit Ctrl Alt X. And then if you want to move to the next misspelling, all you have to hit Control apostrophe, or to go backwards, you hit Control semicolon. These next shortcuts are some of my favorite. So to jump to the beginning of your document, hit Control Home, and to get to the end of your document, hit Control End. I know chapter 2 doesn't look like it's the end of a book, but this is something I just added at the end of my short story to have something to illustrate chapter headings. So if we scroll back up, if you hold down the Control and then the arrow key, this will actually move your cursor over by word instead of by character. To move down an entire page, hit the page down button on your computer and then hit page up to move up one entire page. You can use Shift arrow to select text, and if you hold down the arrow, it'll continue to select your text. And if you hit the arrow the opposite way, the left arrow, it will deselect some of your text. And of course, if you hit Control A, it will select everything. To rearrange entire paragraphs and lines, use Alt Shift up. You don't even need to put your cursor at the beginning of the paragraph, just anywhere works. If by chance your paragraphs or lines are not moving independently, it's probably because there's formatting issues. These are hidden and Google Docs is extremely hard to find these. If you download the plugin called Show, you'll be able to see hidden formatting markup and you'll be able to delete those. A couple more selection shortcuts I forgot the first time that I thought were important enough to add into this video. So from the New World Encyclopedia, let's say I wanted to copy this entire text. If I just hit Control Shift End, this will select all the way down my document. And if I did start in the middle, and let's say I just wanted to select above this section, if I hit Control Shift Home, that's going to copy all the way up. And if I wanted to select all the way to the end of this line, I would just hit Shift End. And if I wanted to select to the beginning of the line, I would do Shift Home. Now let's say I wanted to extend my selection by one entire line. If I hold down Shift and hit the down arrow here, it will select down. And if I do the up arrow, it will subtract one of the lines. And if I wanted to extend this entire selection by paragraph, I would just hit Control Shift down, or you can do it with the up arrow and it will subtract paragraphs. One of the best parts about these text selection shortcuts is most of these will actually work in any other word processors, on the web, or in any program on your computer. The one exception is the move paragraphs or lines. That one seems to be exclusive to Google Docs, But if you're ever frustrated because you're copying and pasting something and you missed that little tiny paragraph or that period at the end, this is one of the easy ways to just expand your selection without having to redo everything. By now, you might be thinking, how am I supposed to remember all these shortcuts? I find it's helpful to actually say in my head what the shortcut is doing. For example, to get to the next heading, I'll tell myself Ctrl Alt Next N +1 for heading 1 when I'm typing out the shortcut. For a few, I've come up with silly ways to remember them, like pulling up the dictionary, it's why, like why use this word. To resolve a comment, the shortcut is E, so I like to think that I'm ending the comment, like ending its life. To help you learn faster, I've made a downloadable PDF with all of these shortcuts broken down into the writing and editing phase that you can print out and reference, which I will link below in the description. I will also link to the Google Docs Help Center shortcut page in the description as well. In addition, you can use Ctrl +/ to pull up the inline cheat sheet in Google Docs. As an extra tip, if you've ever forgotten where a certain option is in any of the menus on Google Docs, if you hit Alt / you can bring up this search bar so you can search for the option that you're looking for. As a note, if you do find that whatever you're pulling up has two different shortcuts next to it, this means you have to push the first key, then the second. So for this move to next heading, you need to hold down Ctrl Alt, then hit the N button, let go of it, then hit 1. Implementing these shortcuts will take time and practice. The goal of this video wasn't to overwhelm you with a ton of shortcuts that you can use, but to help you find the ones that will help you with your writing style and your workflow. Maybe you'll use all of them, or maybe you'll just use a handful of them and they'll become essential tools in your writer's kit. So, fellow writers, I challenge you, pick 3 shortcuts from this video and commit to using them this week. And don't forget to subscribe for more writing tips and tricks. Bye!